Thank you so much for joining me for a lesson today. Today we're going to go over the decimal board for multiplication. Before we begin our lesson, take a look. Does this material remind you of another material we've used in the past? That's right, it does look a lot like the decimal fraction board. We have a line that separates our whole numbers from our decimals. And we also have the columns that we see in the decimal fraction board. Is there another material that might come to mind? The multiplication checkerboard. Very similar because we see the same hierarchy colors. We see the green for units, the blue for tens, the red for hundredths, and then on the decimal side we see more of those pastel colors. All right, let's begin our lesson. For this problem, we are going to multiply a decimal times a whole number. I've selected a problem from our math towers, and for this problem, we are going to multiply 2 and 15 hundredths times 83. Those are our factors. The 2 and 15 hundredths is our multiplicand, and the 83 is our multiplier. And when we multiply those together, we are going to get the product. When I take a look at this board, I'm reminded of that story that we heard when we were going over the decimal fraction board, where the unit is king, and in his kingdom there are tens, but there are also tenths. And he has hundreds, but there's also hundredths. I'm reminded of that on this board. And we also have that darker line that acts as our decimal point. We have our place values on the top. Right over those place values is where I'm going to put the multiplicand. And just like the multiplication checkerboard, I am going to use the white tiles. Then I'm going to lay out my multiplier using the gray tiles. The units place is going to be closest to that multiplication symbol, and my tens place is right next to that. And just like the multiplication checkerboard, I am going to start off with the units, so I am going to flip over the tens place, and then I'm going to multiply. 3 times 5 is 15, so I'm going to put a 5 tile below, and I'm going to put a 1 up on top to remember to add that. So I'm building my partial product here. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, and then 3 times 2 is 6. Put the 6 tile down. And then I am going to record my partial product, which is 6 and 45 hundredths. When I'm done recording that, I am going to flip over the 3 because I am ready to flip the 8 and multiply my tens place. But before I can start multiplying, I need to do one more thing. On the decimal board for multiplication, whenever we make that flip to the left, I also need to slide the multiplicand 1 place value to the left. So if I flip to the left, I'm sliding to the left. And I'm ready to begin. I could put a 0 under the 5, but I'm going to not do that on this one. So in this case, it's 8 times 5 is 40. I put the 0 down and put the 4 on top to remember to add it. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 is 12. Put a 2 tile, and I put the 1 above the 2 in the multiplicand to remember to add it. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 1 is 17. And now my partial product is done. I'm going to record my partial product and then add it all together. All right, I'm ready to begin that partial product. I am going to place a 0 under the 5 in the units place to show that I did no work. We began with our tens place, which also happens to be a 0. I'm going to record the 2, the 7, and the 1. I'm ready to add. 5 plus 0 is 5. 4 plus 0 is 4. 6 plus 2 is 8. 0 plus 7 is 7. 0 plus 1 is 1. I'm not quite done yet. I need to put in that decimal, so I'm going to follow the line. going to put a decimal point between the 6 and the 4, then the 2 and the 0, and that decimal point follows right into my answer between the 8 and the 4. So our product, when we multiply 2 and 15 hundredths times 83, is 178 and 45 hundredths. Thank you so much for coming to this lesson. Let's do another problem.